Hi, I'm Maddie Hockaday, also known as the Anne of this relationship.
And I'm Holly, the Leslie.
We love Parks and Rec. We love behind the scenes.
And we love each other. This is literally the best Parks and Recreation rewatch show.
We're your park pals.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Okay, welcome everyone to Park Pals. How are you?
Hello and welcome. It's nice to see your face.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to see your face, Maddie.
I look forward to this all day. I'm not even kidding.
It's so lovely. It really makes such a difference.
It does. It's crazy. Like, I was looking for a message from you about microphones or something. And the amount of times I had to scroll back, like, to find something that you texted me 2 days ago made me so happy.
I know. We've been doing such a good job of keeping in touch, like, before this. But now it's even better.
It's almost every day,
have to talk about everything.
It is. I love it. I love it so much. And I, have not found any of this stressful. I'm so happy about it.
Good. Yes. Oh my gosh, I know. There are some times when I'm watching the show and I'm just like, fuck, I would have never noticed that if it wasn't for me watching it because of the podcast. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
So
I think it is great.
Also, side note for the listener, a little timeline moment is that Biden and Kamala are winners, and Trump at this point, listener, has not conceded yet. Mm-hmm. So we are just waiting non-patiently for that. The recount happened, and I mean, we didn't even need a recount, truthfully, but the recount did happen, and it's still proving that Biden is winning. So, whatever, but Kamala's speech was so perfect. This timing was so perfect also for this episode because it is the Boys Club episode.
I have so many similarities between the two. I'm so excited about it.
Oh my God, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
My most favorite line of her speech was, I may be the first woman president, but I'm not the last. Yeah. Or woman vice president. Oh my gosh, I was projecting. But I won't be the last. So That was the best.
No, I was going to tell you, I straight up cried in that speech. I'm not like a super emotional person, but my boyfriend and I were sitting in the office at work and we were watching both of their speeches and I started getting teary. And I was like, I did not know that I felt this way, but we grew up in a much better time than our moms for women equality, but it's still not there. And I still had boys in my elementary school and stuff, basically telling me I couldn't do something because I was a girl. So I think there's just that underlying oh my gosh, she did it. We've done it. It took I loved what Biden said, right? It's taken way too long for us to have a woman in that seat. Yeah,
it's actually insanity.
Yeah, it's crazy. How many wars would we have not gotten into if a woman was in charge? Can I just say that? My mom says that to me all the time, and I agree so much.
Okay, so I'm going to start really fast with my recap from the last episode, if you're ready.
Yes, let's do it.
I looked up recycling in Arizona.
Yay! Oh my gosh. Lay it on me.
So last time we talked about how Anne was curious as to whether she ever got her recycling bin. And then that started the conversation of, is there recycling in Arizona and in certain places? So there's recycling in certain cities in Arizona, mostly Phoenix, but there are also these things called eco stations in Phoenix where you can go drop off your recycling as opposed to it being picked up. I did find all of this on the Public Works Department website, so I was really excited because it definitely went into our show.
Yes.
It all connected. So the website is just phoenix.gov, but it has a lot of other cities, how you can get recycling bins and what areas you can take your recycling to if it's not available to get a bin for you. But so I'll tell you all the cities. It says Phoenix, El Mirage, Glendale, Goodyear, Mesa, Peoria, Queen Creek, and City of Scottsdale. Now, to be careful, it all says City of Phoenix or Town of Queen Creek. So I'm sure it has to be within an actual,
limits.
Boundary line. City limits,
right.
Yes. So, yeah, there's that. And then I also found a bunch of articles about how even though people recycle, a lot of the times America can't, or not America, China is the one that accepts a lot of our recyclables, most of our recyclables. Like we ship it to China and they recycle it. And a lot of the time they can't accept it because of all the contaminants that are still in the cans and stuff. So just a friendly reminder that if you have food scraps or like salsa still in your jar, or like peanut butter still in the can, or whatever, try to rinse it out as best as you can, because sometimes they have to dispose of those things that you are recycling, and it takes like so much money because it costs them a lot of time and resources to sort out and throw out all the shit that is not recyclable that people have thrown in the recycling bin. Right. So that's kind of why they don't do it as much, or like that there's not as many sites to recycle, because it's expensive. So I'm sure that there's I didn't look into like research and data of how you can make this more manageable. I'm sure there's cities and states and countries that have made it, more efficient. But that is what I found out. So you can ask them how to get a recycling bin. You can email them. I don't know how great they are at responding. I was going to as just like a test, but then I didn't. I was like, I'll let them do that if they need to. But you might be in the same boat as Anne and never get it. So who knows?
True. Yeah. No, but that is good to know. And none of those cities are me. And I'm really surprised Flagstaff doesn't recycle, because they are pretty, like, that's the bluest part of our state is Flagstaff. So it's interesting.
Just thought I would share that with everybody.
Yeah. Love it.
Okay.
Season 1, episode 4, Boys Club.
Woo! Okay, so this was written by Alan Yang, directed by Michael McCullers. Notes on this crew. Alan Yang is the bass player in Andy's band, number 1.
Heyo.
And then he also was a producer on The Good Place, which is another Mike Schur show.
Love The Good Place.
So delicious and beautiful.
Kristen Bell I love her.
She's so perfect and lovely and multi-talented in her personality. Every time I see interviews with her, she's such a good person.
You know how I know that my boyfriend has really good taste? She is his celebrity crush. Like,
of course,
if he could move to LA,
she's my
and be
celebrity
with someone,
crush.
Yeah, she's great. Like, I love her. So I'm like, you got good taste, man. She's great.
Right. Okay, so Michael McCullers was the director. He's a huge writer. I didn't realize, but he was an SNL writer, which we all know this team is SNL friendly. But he also worked on Baby Mama, which is the movie that Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are in. And the thing that really freaked me out about him was that he co-wrote Austin Powers.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
It's nuts.
I had no idea.
He wrote Spy Who Shagged Me and Goldmember. So they must have, Michael McCullers, this director, must have been friends with Mike Myers, who plays Austin Powers and all of the other things in Austin Powers.
From SNL, maybe.
They must have been friends on SNL, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they wrote that together. He also co-wrote Undercover Brother. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh my God. It's so good. It's kind of like an Austin Powers, but better. And Neil Patrick Harris is in it as well for a brief moment. It's hilarious. But so we've got a great comedy team here with Alan Yang and Michael McCullers. They are choice.
Yeah, I thought that was probably the most star-studded director-writer grouping we've gotten since probably Mike Schur, and Greg Daniels wrote the first one. That's a pretty hefty resume. Mm-hmm. So, and I was going to say, I don't know if it's for this episode, but Alan Yang was nominated for an Emmy for one of the episodes he wrote for Parks and Rec. And I'm not sure which one, but that's where he got his first Emmy nomination.
Oh my gosh, good for him.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Tis.
Well, on this week's commentary, we've got Greg Daniels, who's the co-creator, obviously. Mike Schur, co-creator / producer. Well, and Greg Daniels is a producer, too. We got Chris Pratt, who plays Andy. Yes. Alan Yang, the writer. Nick Offerman, who plays Ron. And then we've got Dan Gore, who's a writer on the show. We've seen his writing as well already this season. But Greg Daniels, really funny. As we get into it, I'll tell you more about it. But Greg Daniels literally only came on the commentary at the beginning to talk about the cold open because he was so passionate about it. He doesn't talk about the rest of the show on the commentary. He just pops in to talk about the cold open.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I can't wait to get to the cold open. Yay. Well, you ready for a summary then?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. All right.
Yes.
In this episode, the Parks and Recreation Department receives a gift basket of wine and cheese, which they are not allowed to eat as it is over $25. So Leslie hides it under her desk for safekeeping. Towards the end of the workday, Leslie and Anne decide to join Mark and friends in the courtyard for some beers, #boys club. Once the beer runs out, Leslie makes the decision of breaking in to some of the wine and cheese basket to keep the fun going. A video emerges the next day of April, a minor, drinking the wine. When the video gets out, a disciplinary hearing and apology video are in store for Leslie, which leads to a letter being placed in her file. On the side, we see Andy cleaning up the messy house for Anne.
Yay! Oh my gosh, so good, Maddie.
Boom.
Yay! Okay, lovely. Well, should we talk about the cold open?
I think we should, and I have a question. I'm not sure if you learned this in the commentary, but this was my first thought. Is this the same location as the one from last class?
I literally wrote that too. It didn't say that in the commentary, but that was my first thing that I noticed, that this has to be the same trail gravel thing as the nature hike.
Right. Exactly, right? Like, why would you not kill two birds with one stone?
I went back and watched the cold open of the last episode as well, and it looks exactly the same. It totally has to be.
Yeah. I can't imagine it not being.
Yeah. They didn't even like change, because I was going to say maybe if it was like even just a little bit of a difference in the trail, like if one was gravel and one was dirt, then maybe, but like no, they didn't. It didn't look exactly the same.
To me, if you go back and watch the cold open from last week's episode, to me it looks like when Leslie's doing the talking head and I mentioned that in the back Jerry was trying to get something out of a tree. I think it's the same place where that talking head happens, is where this dog poop fight is happening. Like, also, who just does this? Like, whose brain goes, look, dog poop in trash can. Let's hurl it at each other. Like,
I guess boys do.
Because I was like, that was disgusting. And I feel like, honestly, in most situations, I'm like Leslie. I'm going to be like, okay, what are we playing? I'm so involved. Like, let's do it. I want to play. But I was with Tom on this. I'm like, yeah, I'm not about to be hurling dog poop or getting hit with dog poop. So I'm a peace out. It smells so bad. Speaking as the mother of two dogs.
I don't think she like wanted to play though, but I understand what you're saying. I totally, yeah.
Because she joins in.
She was going over there to stop it. My funny thing is, one of my notes was that she did not believe that it was real. She was like, we got a call, but I don't believe it. And then she's just like, oh my God, it's real. It's a thing.
It's real. I have that line written down. Oh my God, it's real.
Yes, it's so hilarious. So for those of you who haven't watched this episode in a while, this is where they're having a poop fight. Someone called them, the Parks Department, and said there's kids that are digging poop out of the trash can, like dog poop, in the bags that people have thrown away from their dogs walking, or walking their dogs, and they're throwing at each other and having these poop fights. In the commentary, though, I'm going to tell you about the commentary now.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a commentary what? A commentary break. A commentary who? A commentary break. What? Yeah.
So, again, like I said, it was all Greg Daniels. Apparently, he said that this is
Weirdo.
very near and dear to his heart. For whatever reason. And he said lots of other people thought it was in bad taste, but he really wanted to do it. And he said that Alan Yang, the writer of this episode, had nothing to do with it. So like, saying that more of like as protection to Alan Yang.
Right. Because Alan's like, I don't want to be known for the dog poop fight thing, okay?
The thing that was in the bags is mashed potatoes.
Okay,
So
thank
they
you
put
for
mashed
that.
potatoes in the poop bags.
Yeah.
And also this was that what's funny about this cold open, and I think a lot of cold opens are like this at the end of the day, but it was tacked on at the end instead of like planned, written in the script beforehand. So it was something that they thought of at the end of this episode. But I don't know why he had this idea. He doesn't really talk about why, but he did use the word apotheosis. Do you know what that means?
I don't.
I meant to look it up. Here, let me look it up right now.
Yeah.
He was like, it's really an apotheosis for me. the highest point in the development of something.
Wow.
It was a joke. That's why he said it. Okay, I get
Okay.
it.
It's like, dude,
It
though.
says the highest point in the development or culmination or climax. So this was the peak point of Leslie Knope. That's why
My gosh. I can't even,
a
though.
heightened joke. he wrote.
Damn.
Oh,
Wow.
Lord.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, my other question is, like, what was the plan? Like, I know she didn't think it was real, right? But now it's, like, real. And
Yeah.
the plan is to walk over with the top of a trash can as a shield. And, like, I don't know, how are you going to stop teenage boys from doing, like, I mean, I don't have experience. I haven't, like, parented a teenage boy. But, like, how do you do that? How do you stop a teenage boy from throwing dog poop? Like,
I
just don't know what the plan was.
No, I think the way that she handled it was probably the only way
Right.
to beat them at their own game.
Right. And she
since
was pretty
had the
good at
shield-
it.
I was going to say, since she had the shield, she was doing so well. So funny.
Yeah, she was great.
Okay,
Oh,
this is
man.
fun.
Made me so
This is
happy.
Side
I get it
note,
now.
she had just given, so I've been reading the book, Yes, Please.
Oh, that book is so good.
It's amazing. So I've been reading this book. I've been rereading it, I should say, because I've already read it. The libraries are shut down. I think you can check out books on the website and then go pick them up, but I haven't done that yet. So I've been rereading all the books that I own, and Yes, Please is one of them. And she said that she just gave birth to her first son in this season. So he was 3 months old when she started working on Parks and Rec. So just as a little tidbit of Amy Poehler.
How old are her sons? Like, how far apart are they? Because I thought I read somewhere as well that they tried to squish the first 2 seasons together. Oh, it may be her second son, because I think they tried to finish the second season really fast so they could give her a really long maternity leave before they had to start recording the third season.
Maybe so. We'll have to look
So
that
they
up.
could be pretty, yeah.
Okay,
they
that'll
could
be on my
pretty
recap
close.
for the next episode.
Perfect. Yeah, because I thought you were going to say the same thing I was, but that we have different points here.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's just
maybe
amazed me in general that, I mean, women already always surprise me, but then, like, to hear that she had a 3-month-old baby at home was just like, oh my God, and doing this amazing work is,
Yeah.
women are just superheroes. It's gnarly.
That's true.
But yeah, if you haven't read Yes, Please, you should look into that book. And it explains so much about UCB, the Upright Citizens Brigade that she started. Every single one of the original members of UCB has been in Parks and Rec. We'll get there when we get there. You've already seen Ian Roberts in the first episode. He was the one that was mad about people yelling profanities in the park.
Right.
In the middle school. And then you'll see the other 2 a little bit later.
Perfect.
And it'll surprise you. I think for me, it surprised me who they are. I was like, oh, I would never have guessed that. But I don't know.
I'm not going to look it up
Don't do it.
because I want to be surprised.
I was going to
Although
tell you
I've already
this
read the book, I
episode-
just forgot.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. What else do you have?
The one thing I wanted to say is more kids showed up to throw dog poop at each other than for the nature hike.
That's much
And that
funner
cracked
than
me up a little bit.
Totally. That's much more fun than learning about plants.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Did you find out in the commentary where this park was?
They didn't mention it. They didn't say where it was. Now that I know that recap is a segment that we do,
Yeah.
I'm making notes of what we have to look up. Where was dog poop fight?
Love it. So we're going straight to City Hall now. Where we start with Donna, Jerry, Tom around the table, and they just got this gift basket. And it's from a construction company, and that's the first time I've heard that it was from a construction company. Like, I know that the gift bag has been a thing, but that's the first time I found out that it was from a construction company.
Norton Construction, which is a
yes.
very good choice. Lots of, not, I guess good is a weird word, but it's a very common choice for the government because there's so many government contractors out there for the buildings that the government wants to build and permits that, all that stuff. So construction companies work very frequently with the government to get those things built.
Right. Yeah, that's perfect.
But I did look up that if that is a true thing, that governments cannot accept gifts worth $25 or more. And I found a bunch of different legal websites that is true. that they can't accept gifts that are worth a lot of money. Usually it depends on the state and the city. Sometimes you can accept it if it's lower than that amount, but a lot of times you can't. It also depends on which part of the government it is, too, because sometimes, you know, certain departments are allowed to accept things that maybe other departments aren't. And I was talking to my sister about this, too, because she works for the government, and she says that that's a very real thing. And a lot of times, like, why you can't have, like, parties or whatever is because the government can't be paying for alcohol to give to employees, you know, like that kind of thing.
Right.
But it's a weird situation where, you know, it's not illegal for someone to give the government something, but it's illegal for them to accept it. So they'll either have to turn it in, or Brooklyn said, my sister's name is Brooklyn. Brooklyn said that they have auctions sometimes. Like the government will have auctions for things that people have given to them. So they'll keep everything and then they'll auction it off. So it's not,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Cool.
But yeah, so it's very intriguing. I mean, so usually if the gift is valued at $20 or less, so long as the gift is not cash and the employee accepts no more than $50 in gifts from this, and it's like some people measure it in a calendar year of the amount of gifts that you get. So anyway, long story short, I'll probably cut most of that out, but it is a real rule in the government that you cannot accept gifts.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like Leslie says, like it stops corruption.
Exactly.
So like a construction company isn't right. Exactly. So that's perfect.
There was a really, really wonderful deleted scene about the construction company where I really wish that they left it in because it didn't really solve too much, but it was fucking hilarious. Basically, Leslie takes it back to the construction company and says, hey, we got this wine basket and I bought another one and, you know, gave it back to you. And she was like, well, the lady at the construction company was like, well, why didn't you just give back the one that we gave you? And she was like, it's not important. and
gosh, that's funny.
And the lady who played the receptionist at the construction company was so funny. I should have looked her up, but I loved her. And I'm sad that her scene got cut, but that happens a lot of times where you're in a scene in a show and then it gets cut out. But regardless, so Leslie gives this construction company back the wine and cheese basket, and then she comes outside and has a talking head where she's like, you know, I think I did the right thing. Everything is better now that I gave it back. And the camera zooms in on the lady at the construction company, like through the glass, and the construction company lady is like taking the wine out of the basket and putting it in her purse and like stealing everything that was in the basket. It's so funny. And
Dang,
oh my gosh,
I want to
wish
see
they'd
that.
put that in, but it was so funny.
Yeah, I got to look that up. Yeah, that would be great to keep that in there.
I know. It was a long scene, so I get why they cut it, but
yeah.
Did you hear the line about the Great Lakes wine?
No.
Jerry was like, oh, love Great Lakes wine.
Oh.
That's in the gift basket.
Yes. Yes.
And I was like, what is what is that?
Did you look it up?
Yeah, I looked it up. And there's not Great Lakes wine, but there is a Great Lakes wine and spirits liquor store in Michigan.
Okay.
So if you're in Highland Park, Michigan, it's on Victor Street, and it's about 4 hours from Indiana. So just letting everyone know.
Yeah, and I don't think Jerry leaves Indiana, so...
Right.
Well, that comment about the Great Lakes wine leads us right to the very disgusting comment on Tom saying that he's going to take the cheese and do terrible things to it.
I know. What the F?
I'm like, why did we get sexual with cheese?
Because it's Tom.
Yeah. So I was just like...
But sometimes I think of... No, I guess I don't say it sexually. I would say sometimes if I see something that I really want to eat, I think of, like, I'll use the word, like, demolish. Like, I'm going to demolish that. But it's not sexually.
No. The whole other conversation.
That reminds me of Monica and Friends where she... where she has a scene where she's eating this cake and she's like making all these almost sex noises as she's eating it, and Chandler's like, would you choose food or sex if you had the choice? Or somebody asks that, and she's like, food.
She's like,
immediately.
Food.
She's like, I think I could show this cake a good time.
Yeah.
So that is, I think, a very common joke, just FYI, to do bad things to food. In TV anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't use it in my day to day. And no judgment if any of you do. I'd love to hear if you have similar situation.
Also, Donna, oh my gosh, she can say so much with one sound or facial expression. She's so amazing. Yeah, Leslie said something about how she goes to a different city to rent a movie with nudity in it because of the because of corruption and just, in general, whatever. And Donna's like, She doesn't even say anything, and she just makes a little noise, and you hear so much context with that. And that is just so Donna. I love it.
Yeah, Retta does a great job in that. I mean, look, they've given her nothing in this episode, right? They haven't even reached her full potential, and she's already, given it to us. It's great. I love her.
Yes, she has so many facial expressions in this episode. It's lovely and perfect. She's so good.
Well, I did a thing, and I took I paused the episode when we were at this table because I was like, okay, what's on the wall? Because I'm very intrigued. So
what is it?
There is an Adopt a Park poster.
Cute.
Now there's one next to Ron's office, and then there's actually another one over on the bulletin board, kind of towards the entrance. Not quite sure how that would work. Is it kind of like Adopt a Highway, like you would pay, and then the park's named after you? That would be my guess. But I don't have fancy technology to zoom in and actually see what it said.
Right.
But there is also a sign next to Ron's door that says documents are for the shredder only, not garbage.
Yeah, that was in the last episode, remember?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But now I was thinking...
We talked about putting banana peels in there.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, yes. The thing about that is, what is important enough in the Parks Department that you can't just throw it away? It's interesting because for a budget department or something, like the financial department or anything, I would kind of understand that. But I'm wondering what parks information do they have that they need to shred for safety?
Top secret soil ingredients.
Oh my gosh.
A calendar of when to change flowers? ?
Yeah.
We should really ask that. I really want to find somebody for next season, at one of our local park departments, and see if they'll talk to us about what it's like to work in the parks department.
That'd be really cool.
But good finds.
Yes. There's also a deck of cards on the table. So they're not even working when they get this basket. They're just sitting there playing cards. And then there's also a piece of paper. You know how they have those kind of fold out things that hang on the wall? I'm not going to explain this right for podcasting, but it's like a wooden thing, and then it has flaps, kind of like a folder, so there can be handouts in each flap. Yeah. And one of them is Become a Park Guide.
Okay.
Yeah, so they let civilians do that. It doesn't just have to be somebody that works there.
In the department, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know what you're talking about, the little mailbox things that are outside of teachers' rooms sometimes.
Yeah.
Cool. I wonder what that would be like, being a park guide. Maybe they have events at the parks and stuff or something.
Could be. I'm not sure. Maybe it's like the nature hikes.
Right, exactly.
We have Dapper Tom here, too.
Ooh.
Right, he's back in the suit.
Yes.
No polo, but we do have a bright tie. It's like an orange, a pretty bright orange. It's a little pale on some of the stripes, but it's there.
Yeah, but then I think we go back to a shirt, like a Lacoste shirt, a little bit later.
Yep, I have it time stamped. We're back in a polo shirt. Yeah.
So that's Tom's MO right now. He's got to have one scene or one part of the day or one day of the week maybe where he's being dapper, and then one time when he's just like, okay, Lacoste shirt it is.
Right. This is all that fits me today.
Also, this is the Wine and Cheese Club. I'm trying not to skip ahead too much and think about people's characters or anything before we get there, so that I can just see it as what it is. But this is the Wine and Cheese Club, Donna, Jerry, and Tom, when they're complaining to Ron, and he's listening to his Willie Nelson song in his headphones. So I thought that was really hilarious that they have wine and cheese, and it's them three around the table.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Also, did they think about Tom and Jerry the cartoon at all when they named these characters?
I don't know. That's a good question. That is a very good question. I'm trying to think how often we hear their names together that they would have caught it early enough.
Right.
I don't know. We have a little moment, which is kind of a flashback to that episode when Tom is like, well, if you give my wife the suits and they don't fit her, she'll give them to me. So he's beating around the bush of corruption, right? And he's like, no, I'm honest. And he's like flipping his badge just to get first in line to get a hot dog.
Right.
You know, I was like, all right.
Oh my God. Sorry, little
You're
girl.
weird.
You can have the next one.
He's like, you know, people tell me this is a great line. It's not my line of the episode. But you're like a brown Superman with a beard who stands for justice and truth and the American way.
That is a good line.
Just like, okay. Which, it's so funny that he describes himself like that. It's great.
Yep. He's got some confidence, that one. Or maybe it's just
Oh, yeah.
overcompensating. Probably that's more what it is.
Probably. Yeah. Oh, man. But I don't know if you noticed this, but Leslie takes the gift basket, right? And she's like, listen, I'm gonna lock. She says, I am going to lock this up. She straight up does not lock it up. It's sitting under her desk, and like the next shot is it's poking out of the bottom of her desk.
Right.
Like, it's just
that's
so
not
like an
what-
immediate. Yeah. Definitely
Yeah, maybe
not
she
locked
thinks
up.
that she's going to lock her door later, but no, they can definitely get in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Tom sits right there.
Right.
The next note I have is following that, right, when we're seeing the basket poke out from her desk. And April, Tom, and Anne are there in Leslie's office with her, looking at the website that April's created. And I don't know if you felt this way, but I started getting like a little anxious with how close they were standing.
Yes, they were
Like,
all
did you
breathing on
feel
each
that?
other. Oh my
Right.
gosh.
And I was like, would I have felt that way like a year ago? Or am I like conditioned for COVID now, where it's just like, we're too like close together now. Everybody 6 feet, 6 feet.
I know.
But
No, I think a lot of us have some PTSD / like triggers whenever we see any TV show where people are standing close together or like laughing at each other, spitting on each other, or whatever it is. Like, it's insane when you look at people now and you're like, oh my God, and you get anxiety just staring at them because you're like, you're gonna die.
Right, exactly. And it sucks because like I want to hug people. I want to be able to sit near people. But like, I think, you know, it's been so long now. We're all like in masks all the time and supposed to be 6 feet apart. And so I think it just gave me anxiety seeing that,
Yes, absolutely.
you know. So I didn't know. I'm glad you felt the same way. Not glad, because I don't want any of us to feel this way. But, you know, I felt a little less weird.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
But I do, speaking of them being around the computer, I love that she cuts that ribbon to celebrate the unveiling of the social media profile around her computer. I'm going to start doing that whenever I like am done editing
Yes.
the podcast, I feel. I'm just going to like wrap a little ribbon or something around my computer and cut it. Love a good ribbon
Right.
cutting.
I loved that. I thought it was so Leslie too. Mm-hmm. Like it fits her so well to do that.
Absolutely.
When we're looking at right, so they're like, okay, we're gonna look profile, which I don't know why Tom is doing this. He looks up to Mark. We know that,
yeah.
right? So he's like pulling Mark's thing up, and then it zooms in on the screen. I have two things. So first of all, the pictures that are showing of Mark, it says 6 pictures of 6. So I don't know if
He only has 6 pictures.
right. Either he only has 6 pictures, or the set design, or, you know, the people in charge of that, production design or whatever, they were like, let's only take 6 pictures and put it up there, you know?
Probably.
Yeah. But I was just like, that was funny that it said that. But there's also a document open up on Leslie's computer, and
What
I'm
is
very
it?
intrigued to know who it's for, because you can't see the whole thing. You only see like the first 2 words of every line. But I stopped
love
it
that
and
catch.
I looked, and it said, I know it's about a man. So one of the lines says he has refused. The next one says he has called. Then he has dissolved. He has endeavored. He has obstructed. So she's like pissed at someone, and she is sending a document, but because it's a document, it's not an email. It's like, it's a Word doc. I'm like, oh, who's this about? And why do we not know this side story? You know?
Huh. I know. It could be anyone, really. It could be someone from the public who's like been on their nerves for a while. It could be an employee. That's a great catch. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to try to do that if we ever see screens, because I wonder what little nuggets they've tucked back there.
Yes, I have a catch on a screen later, but which
Yes.
is funny. So yes, we will talk about that. I do
love
have
it.
something, speaking of the social media page, though, really fast. It's a commentary break. Mike Schur said that this was an uncomfortable moment with the photo shoot, and Alan Yang agreed because they did an actual photo shoot. These were not stock images of the women in these in these photos that are Mark's friends, and so they were real women that were hired to be skanky. Was the joke?
Oh my gosh!
On the commentary, which is so true. Yeah, because Alan Yang made a joke and he was like, it was kind of uncomfortable because, the subtext of this was like, we hired you because you look skanky.
Yikes.
It was so funny. But yeah, so that was all a photo shoot, which was really interesting to me.
So was it uncomfortable, the interaction with the actresses, or was it the whole photo shoot uncomfortable? Did it sound like?
It sounded like they just meant like the whole photo shoot as a whole was kind of like funky when you actually started to think about what they were doing. Because you think of those pictures that you see from, college years or like, I guess maybe early 20s or something like that, which why does Mark still have, he is a grown ass man. Why does he have these pictures up? But later, he does say that he's not really friends with him anymore, which I don't know if that's true. But regardless, you see those photos on anyone's profile and you're like, oh, this is who you used to be or who you are. And so to hire someone to recreate those photos, I feel, would be very awkward.
I agree.
But just so weird. I love this, like, personality, or not personality, I guess, but this character of who they're building Mark to be, which we already know that he's a womanizer, but, like, now I think we're more tangibly seeing all the, like, gals that he hangs out with. So, also, I don't know. I feel like if I was Mark, I was thinking about this. I don't know if I would be friends with the Parks page because boundaries. Like, there are a lot of people who have requested me from work on Facebook, and I have not accepted them. I mean, there are some people that I have.
There's a line.
Like, especially if they're higher ups, I feel there's a line that are, and like, I just like don't want them to see my Facebook. Even though I don't really post on my personal page, I more so post on like the business page that I have anyway. But I don't know. I just like, especially if you know that your profile, like Mark, has all these like naked ladies on there, like you should not have a tie to the government from your page.
Not the best choice. Not the best choice.
Right, but he just wants to show off all the babes. So, but I thought about that, about like, I've definitely had people request me that I work with, and I'm like, no, I'm okay.
We're going to keep this separate. Well, there's a line here, and I struggled really hard choosing between this line and another one. But I think I'm choosing the other one because it's relatable to me personally. But this one is when they are looking at all these pictures of Mark, and Leslie's like, well, maybe it's his cousins or something. And Anne says, yeah, maybe fake boobs run in his family.
That is a phenomenal line. I laughed out loud at that.
And the way Rashida presents it and acts it is so well done, like so sarcastic, but like loving at the same time. Like, you know, like respectful to Leslie, but sarcastic and kind of a jab at Mark. Yeah. Just like, I thought that line was so good. Oh man. When she first mentions the boys club, we go out into the hallway with all the pictures of the city councilmen. And I had
the wall of men.
Yes. And I had the biggest deja vu of that amazing picture that went around of Kamala standing next to all those pictures of like previous vice presidents. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool.
Monumental, pivotal, iconic.
Yeah, monumental. And like, I mean, regardless of where you stand politically, anyone that's listening, regardless of whether you like her or hate her, it's a big step for women that we have a woman in that position starting in January. So I think, you know, that was just really empowering and like really cool to see. Like Leslie, I feel like was this commercial view of a politician that was a woman and strong and trying to fight against, you know, and be a rule, like I don't know, like change the world being a woman and like, you know, be a leader as a woman.
Yeah.
So we saw that on TV, and I've always loved Leslie's character for that reason, right? We've talked about it before. Yeah. She has the best lines and like the best outlook on how to be a strong, independent woman. And now we have a real version, like a woman in that powerful place standing up against all these men, and it's really cool. Like, I know there are other women in government,
Yeah.
but that title just holds a lot of power. So
Right. Did I already say this about Julia Louis-Dreyfus's tweet?
No.
Did I say this already to you? I don't think, okay. Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays the vice president in Veep. She plays Veep. She had a tweet that said, Madam Vice President is no longer a fictional character.
oh,
It was so perfect and beautiful. And yeah, I think that's something that we definitely, a lot of Americans haven't really been focusing on, that how actually monumental this
Right.
is, because we've been focusing on the dumbass that's currently not conceding. So all of our mind has been not focusing on how intense this is. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, we've just been focused on who's going to win the presidential campaign, and that this presidential election was not really about the person, but it was about the ideals that the person upholds more so. You were voting for democracy, or you were voting for authoritarianism. Like, that's kind of what the election came down to at this point, and that was what everyone was focusing on. And so I think a lot of us kind of let that slide over us, that now this is historic.
Right.
This is a huge historic moment.
huge. Yeah. Yeah. As we talked about at the beginning too, like really emotional
And it's
real.
and she's a person of color,
Yeah.
and for a daughter of immigrants. Like, it's a lot of boxes that have been checked
yeah.
off that are, and she worked really hard to get where she was, or where she is, and I love it.
I do too. I'm a huge about it, and I love this like comparison that we can make between Leslie and her this week. So it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also really important, just like Leslie, I mean, Kamala and Leslie both have flaws too. It's
Right.
not like we're saying that they have been perfect every step of the way. You know, you make mistakes, you learn, you grow, you lead. And so I think that is something that I really appreciate that they show in this show as well, that she, messes up a few times, or she like misses the mark, or she's overambitious or whatever it is. It's not like we're saying that you have to be perfect, but you have to try.
Right.
to make the world a better place. And that's what both of these women have done.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have a little commentary break about the Wall of Men,
Yes.
if you are ready
Yes,
for it.
please.
The creepy guy on the wall that Leslie says, like, follows her boobs wherever she walks. His name is Norm Hiscock, and he's a real person. He's a writer
Oh
on
my
the
gosh.
show. He actually...
That's hilarious.
He actually wrote Rock Show, the episode
the
Rock
sixth
Show.
one.
And then Morgan Sackett is also on the Wall of Men, who is a producer on the show. He is right above Norm Hiscock. So they used real people, which I thought was really cute. I don't know who the other people were.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really cool that the creepy guy was like a real live
Someone she
writer on the
probably
show.
talks to.
Right, exactly.
It's perfect. I love
So
that.
funny.
I love this when Leslie brings this up, that she wants to go outside, like, or Anne asks what they're doing out there, right? Which, why is Anne like, where's Mark? Maybe because he's part of the committee, the subcommittee. But she's like, where's Mark?
Did she say
she
that?
says, where is Mark? Because he's not there. But I'm figuring now, I was like, well, why is she interested? But now I'm wondering if it's because they were kind of meeting as the subcommittee and he wasn't there.
Sure. Yeah, I think you're right.
But, Leslie says they're divvying up the empire, and it cuts out to the courtyard, and the guy is like, my wife got me this shirt. She swears it makes me look thinner. and Mark's like, it kind of does.
I noticed that line today when I was rewatching it again. I was like, what the
Right.
F?
Well, it reminds me of that meme that's out there, right? That's like a woman and man laying in bed, and the woman's like, he's probably thinking about another woman. And he's like, well, I wonder if the Eagles will go to the Super Bowl this year. It's like they're never...
Exactly. It's completely different pages.
Exactly. So, Leslie's like, well, they're just, they're probably talking politics and how to move up in the government. And no, they're just like they're drinking and commenting on clothing. So...
Yes,
I just love that.
So
and
funny.
I love how she's like, listen, well, we're going to go do it. Let's go out there and tear it up. Like, we'll be part of it. I loved that she took the initiative, and she leaves saying, April, you're in charge, and it's because you're a woman. And I was like, end
queen.
episode. Boom. I love it. Yeah, I loved that.
I did too. And then April's look is like, love it. As I was watching this, though, I have two things to say. Number one, I cannot get over that courtyard is a soundstage.
I know. It's really well done.
I still am so shocked by it. It looks so good.
Yeah, it does.
I didn't notice any pigeons, though.
I did.
You did?
I time-stamped them, girl.
Maddie, I wasn't even
got
looking for it.
you.
Thank you for looking out for me because I was so not focused on that. Oh, my God. Okay, tell me everything.
I got you. Okay.
I failed.
I got to skip forward a little bit. Okay. No, you didn't fail. So we have some pigeons. And there is a point in time where at 4 minutes and 41 seconds, I believe that one of them looks real, like they might be moving, and the other one looks like it's fake. Because even in the next shot, we see its tail, and for like a good solid 5 seconds, and we don't see it move at all. So I'm thinking there's some fake in the background of them talking.
Okay.
Because it took a long time probably to shoot those. But they are 100% real at 4 minutes and 55 seconds through Leslie's talking head. Unless they have really, really realistic robotic pigeons.
Right.
But I completely believe those are real at 4 minutes and 55 seconds whenever Leslie's doing her talking head, right? Because it probably did not take quite as long to do Leslie's talking head as it did to do all their talking scenes. And those pigeons look real. They're like getting down in the dirt and stuff like that. I didn't hear any of them, but I saw them moving.
Okay. Well, I'm convinced that the conclusion of the one line that Greg Daniels said in his commentary, like the very first or second fucking episode that I have been attached to and cannot let go for whatever reason, about him saying that, the editing, the sound of the pigeons doesn't match where the pigeons actually are. And I took that to mean the pigeons are probably fake, but I'm pretty positive that what that means is that they shot the scene, the pigeons were cooing, and then when they had to edit the talking heads, they didn't, the audio just didn't match up. And so with the video. So I'm pretty positive that's what is going on here. But this, I honestly would be, bless you, Maddie sneezed.
I
Very
keep
silently.
it quiet, so I don't like. But Ivan tells me not to do that. He's like, "You're gonna get a brain aneurysm."
Is that what happens?
You can. There have been people that have stopped their sneezes and then it's burst something in their forehead or something. Yeah, it's bad.
Oh my God.
So I probably shouldn't do it, but I didn't want to interrupt your thought because I wanted to hear it.
But I can't not say bless you. So
That's
I
true.
did it to myself.
I did know this about you, so I should have just sneezed.
Well, okay. Anyway, so
now I could die. It's fun.
Oh my Lanta. Okay, well, anyway, so that's what I'm convinced about with the pigeons. But I don't care. It'll happen when it happens if we see it. But okay, so that was the first thing that I was talking about, was that I can't believe that the courtyard is a soundstage. Secondly, I did write as I was watching this, I was like, are you allowed to drink on government property? Why is that a thing? And then I was like, I guess if no one catches you, it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's a big deal that you're not supposed to.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't. You shouldn't drink on school properties, even if you're of age. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't drink on government. There's a lot of places you shouldn't be drinking.
Yeah.
That I'm sure people
And they just seem to be so casual about it. I was like, is this okay? Why do you not care? But I guess that was the point.
Right. Well, and I think we learn later, right, that nobody actually knows that they're doing it.
Right. That's true.
So, yeah. Ron knows, but Ron doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. Ron is almost encouraging
it.
of it because it's not government work.
Right.
But
exactly.
Mark seems glad to have them. I felt like when he said that whole thing of welcome, let me get you a beer, whatever, he was being nice and not being douchey. I was pretty excited about that, watching that. I was like, okay,
he was
Mark.
very welcoming. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really appreciated how he was. And when Leslie started trying to introduce herself as the deputy director, he kind of cuts her off, right? We don't do that here. Just be you, right? Be Leslie. Because she's always trying to be professional and put on the best, the best side of herself. And sometimes you just need to have friends that you're they still see the best in you, but you're able to let loose and not be the deputy director of the park department,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah. I have another Kamala and Leslie merge here as well.
Okay, tell me.
there was a big, like, a picture that went around of her too, is that also said, like, make sure you're wearing shoes because there's a bunch of glass, right, left behind or from the shattered ceiling.
Loved that.
Right. And in this episode, Leslie in her talking head says, did you hear that? That was the sound of glass ceiling being shattered.
I love that.
Yeah. I was like,
that was a really funny thing where she like tips over the table and all the beer
Right.
bottles drop and smashes, and then she equates that to the glass ceiling shattering. That was
yes.
that sound.
And I want to fully live through this next line she has. Look at those bitches clean up after me.
Yes.
I want to get that
was-
in a painting in my kitchen
God.
so that I have people that do dishes for me.
I couldn't decide whether that was my favorite line. I have two, honestly, for this episode.
Okay.
That was the first one that I saw.
Oh, my bad.
I kind of feel like I'm already in the boys' club. I mean, look at those bitches clean up after me. That is number one. But, okay, so I hate to bring it down. Also, I have another commentary break. Well, the part that I bring down is on me, but I'll tell you. So the guy who plays Brian, the black guy in the courtyard, he was on Miller High Life commercials, which were super funny. I looked them up. You should totally look them up. He's really hilarious. I didn't know that. But I looked it up later, and he died from a pulmonary embolism at 36 in 2015.
Oh my gosh. I did not catch that. And I looked him up.
Oh my God. I looked him up, and I was just typing in his name. His first name is Wendell, which R.I.P. Pour one out for Wendell, you guys, because he was hilarious. And that's one of the reasons why I looked him up. Because I'm like, who is that guy? Number one, he looks familiar, but number one, like, he's amazing. But number two, he looks familiar. So, like, who is he? And then, so I was Googling his name. I just typed in his name, and the you know how Google, like, auto types in something for you to complete your sentence? It said death. And I was like, what the fuck? So, yeah, 6 years. That was 6 years after he was in this episode was when he died.
Oh. And he was only 36. That sucks.
Yep. Pulmonary embolism. Who would have thunk it?
I know, seriously. Well, and he was in other things, too, like Hannah Montana, Sweet Life on Deck, Entourage. And he was in season 9 of Scrubs.
That's probably... no, season 9 of Scrubs, but definitely. Season 9 was the season that is controversy for Scrubs because it was like a reboot and not everyone loves it. But regardless, I remember seeing him in that show. And I think now that you say Sweet Life, I think that's where I saw him, was Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Or On Deck, or whatever the fuck.
That was definitely our time. So, yeah. Oh, man.
Which, by the way, speaking of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, what's his face? Cole Sprouse is on Riverdale, and oh my God, he's amazing. We love him. He plays Jughead, and I'm in love with him. His Instagram is also really funny.
And it's funny because his twin brother,
Dylan.
Thank you. I was going to say Zach, and I'm like, that's not his real name, you dummy.
Right.
So, no, but he actually owns a meadery in New York now. He doesn't really do a lot of acting. He owns a meadery.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. I would really love to go drink his mead sometime because I do love mead.
Right, yeah, you talked about that.
Yeah.
Or you've talked about that before, not on the pod. But, but that's great. We'll definitely have to visit. Also, I said that Cole Sprouse's Instagram was funny is the word I used. I meant to say it was fun. Because he takes a lot of photos. I just wanted to set the record straight there. And he's a good photographer, too.
Oh, cool. I did not know that. That's fun.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with Parks and Rec, so I'm very sorry. But Wendell,
Tangent.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Aw. That makes me
He was
sad.
great, though. He made me laugh.
Yeah. The other guy is now in One Day at a Time, which I'm not sure if you've watched that. The two main guys, I think this guy, his name was Nate in the show. I don't think we know that. But his name is Todd Grindle in real life. And he was, I think, the guy that wears the shirt. And he's like, my wife got me this. And he's in One Day at a Time on Netflix, which I've never seen. But it's a pretty big show, so I thought to mention it.
Yeah, it's a huge show. I just remember it was a big deal because they were going to cancel it, and everyone got really mad because they were like, "This is a show of immigrants, like, and like Hispanic stories aren't really being told right now." And what's her name? The only reason I know about that show is because Rita Moreno is Queen, West Side Story queen, musical theater queen in general, and she's the star of One Day at a Time. So I haven't really watched that show, but I've heard, good things. So I don't know.
It was revived, right? They didn't cancel it.
Yep.
Yeah, you get that many people, it's got to be good. I should give it a chance. Well, there's this Anne that comes out, And I don't know if
I
it's
know!
Mark that brings it out in her or not being around Andy, or I don't know what it is, but she's given some sass to Mark.
Yeah.
And I like
And
it.
sass.
We are getting some of the Anne that we know and love from later seasons. So I don't know if it's Mark being away from Andy. I don't know what it is that like brings this out in her. I'm thinking more like if this was real life and not like that they told her to play it this way. But
Sure.
I love that. And she brings up the daddy's girl tattoo that both words are misspelled.
Oh my God. I have seen somebody with a daddy's girl tattoo, and it wasn't misspelled, but it was definitely, it's just not my taste. Not going to judge you if you have that, but I don't quite understand. I feel like there are other ways to honor your father if you really truly are like a daddy's girl.
Yeah. I'm sure that's what he wanted, right? Is your daddy wanted you to get a tattoo like that.
Right. Yeah, I loved this Anne though. I love when Leslie is saying, like, I just felt like that was such a thing that I would do, or at least that I would say in my head, like when Anne is teasing Mark, like,
yeah,
and then Leslie's like, "Oh, I like this. This is banter. Oh, what are you gonna say back? What are you gonna say back?"
And I feel like I would be Leslie in this. Be like, "Oh, what were you say next? You go, Holly.
What's your comeback?"
Weak
So
sauce.
There is weak sauce. There is also. Did you notice there was a scene when Mark, Anne, and Leslie are dancing? It's like Mark and Anne.
It's
like
pretty
very
great.
awkward. I thought it was awkward.
I wasn't sure if they were dancing or if he was like showing them a dance move because it looked like they were kind of mimicking him.
Okay, so that might be what happened, but in the commentary they said that was just in between takes. Like they didn't tell them to do that. That was just in between takes that the camera caught, and so they put it in after.
I want to go back and watch that to see that like it's just the three of them being them. That's so cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
Being
what
friends.
it was. They were just hanging out, shooting the shit, like killing time, but in between takes, and so they're like, "Let's just stay." I think Mark probably did, or Paul Schneider probably did do that, like have a dance that he was like, "Let me show you this thing."
Yeah.
I just thought it looked so weird. I was like, "What the fuck? Why is that?
Right.
What are they doing?"
What are you guys doing? Yeah. That's a good point. I have to say, Mark actually seems to be pretty hurt here when Anne's digging on him. You know, he's like, well, those aren't my friends anymore. And, you know, Leslie's kind of giving it to him. And he's kind of just not there anymore. I'm like wondering, does he really care what Anne thinks of him or Leslie or, you know, because he does seem hurt.
I definitely think he cares what Anne thinks because it seems like every time she comes in the office, he wants to talk to her is
Right.
what I'm seeing as an audience member. But number two, I think that it could be real though, that maybe he doesn't really talk to those women anymore. I think he's still a ladies' man and talks to lots of other women and sleeps with them 2 hours after having met them. Shauna Molly Tweep. But I know, I don't feel, Shauna can do what she wants to do. It's fine. But he is skanky, so it's fine. Anyway, so maybe he really doesn't hang out with them, and he just want to make that clear.
Well, and I think we're seeing like a different side of him, right? Like through the next couple episodes, he's not really into that scene anymore. And like he does sleep with Shauna, but I think this might be the last time. And I think it might be because in the last episode we see Anne kind of give him a hard time for it, right? Like, you know, he has to go through that interaction with Anne there of telling Shauna, like, we're not a thing. And Anne's just kind of disappointed in him, I think. And I wonder if that's kind of the turnaround for Mark is like, I'm not that guy anymore. I want to be someone that's worthy of an Anne.
Yeah. Maybe so. I also have a deep dive, just a little bit.
Yes.
So in the commentary behind them in the courtyard, they have a Verner's vending machine in the background, which is a ginger ale. And I looked up what is Verner's, and I also looked up what even is ginger ale because.
Okay,
So
good. That's good. Because I like it, but like, what the heck is it?
Well, yeah, okay. So it started out with me looking up Verner's, and then there's this whole fucking like ginger ale society situation. Like, I'm not even joking you. I'll have to post the website that I found, and it talks all about like the origin of ginger ale and anyways, so this one, Verner's, was like the original. Verner's came before Canada Dry. It was
wow.
a ginger ale that started in Detroit. I don't know why I said it that way. That started in Detroit. Detroit.
Detroit.
My Virginia coming out. Little Detroit over here. So it's a northern Midwest type of ginger ale is what this Verner's is. So it's filling out the Pawnee environment, I feel. Right. But so during Prohibition, okay, this was really how ginger ale started, was because it was during Prohibition. They needed to create something that could mask the power of these strong liquors that were banned. And people were hiding them and kind of doing it under the table. So they needed something to mix with this strong liquor. And it needed to be non-alcoholic. And so the dry, I thought that maybe that meant the dry referred to, it not having alcohol in it because of Prohibition. But it's really just because it refers more to the carbonation, because Canada Dry ginger ale was more carbonated so that it could mix easier with the liquors.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, I found that some ginger ales didn't even have real ginger in them. They used this spice, it's a, oh my gosh, I looked up how to say it, but I forgot already. Capsicum, I think, is how you pronounce it. Capsicum, capsicum.
Okay.
And it's like a red pepper, chili pepper situation. So that they could give they could give it that spiciness of the ginger. But so that's why, like, now ginger ales, and especially Canada Dry, says on the label, like, real ginger.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really weird, though. Like, why didn't you use real ginger? Maybe it was expensive or something. I don't know, but it kind of gave it that taste of ginger. So I was like, what the F? But anyway, so that's my deep dive on ginger ale.
No, I love it.
That it was created during Prohibition is the main point of that. And that Verner's is a Midwestern ginger ale that's like the OG of creation of ginger ale. And that was filling out the Pawnee vibe.
I love it. That's great. I also have a question. You said the vending machine is outside. Mm-hmm. Why the fuck?
Who knows?
Like,
I don't know.
I'm telling you right now, no one in Indiana is going the fuck outside for ginger ale in January. Like,
I know. I'm trying to think now that you say that. Have I ever seen a ginger ale a vending machine outside?
and like if it was in LA, that makes sense to me. But if you're in the Midwest, there's a good 3 to 4 to 5, sometimes 6 month period that you don't even want to go outside.
Right, that's a good call. Okay,
it's
we'll have
real
to track
cold.
that and see, like, if they put snow in the courtyard, like if that thing is still there.
Right. That's such work, though, trying to move the vending machine inside for the months of the year that it's cold.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Weird.
I don't know. I will tell you, there was a year where my birthday is in the winter, for everyone who doesn't know. There was a year.
So get her a present, bitch.
Yep. Anytime in that like 4 month period you consider winter.
Right.
Yeah. So it was my birthday one year and we had planned to go do stuff, but it ended up being negative 68 degrees outside with wind chill. So I said that so weird. Wind chill. Now I'm doing it. Wind
I'm rubbing
chill.
off on you.
It was negative 68 with wind chill outside. And so we couldn't even really, we couldn't even really get our car to start. Like all the theaters were closed. All the restaurants were closed. My brother's school was canceled because it was too dangerous for people to wait outside for the bus. Some of the buses couldn't start. So like, I'm not going outside in negative 68 degree weather just to get a fucking ginger ale.
Absolutely
No,
not.
thank you.
So crazy. Yeah. You know what? As you're telling that story, I did think about, I was at a hotel one time and they sometimes have vending machines outside, but they're usually like in a little alleyway. So I don't know. Okay. Listeners, if anyone is in Indiana or the Midwest and has seen a ginger ale / vending machine in general outside, can you please let us know? Because we are very intrigued.
Yeah.
And if
I
you've
would
ever
love to
gone
know.
outside to get something from that vending machine because it was so worth it, we need to know immediately.
Yes. And if you are in Florida, Georgia, like California, like South Texas, doesn't count. We love you, but it does not get cold enough. Okay.
Right.
So
Okay.
yes, So those of you that
Keep an eye
get
on that.
heavy snow, Northeast, I'd love to know too.
Okay.
Those of you in the Northeast. But anyway, yeah.
Good to know.
That just, when you said it was outside, I was like, what? Why?
Yeah, it is outside. So weird.
I do want to say though,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, the brown in her shirt or her whatever, it's really distracting to me because she's wearing a navy suit. So she has not yet gone shopping with Anne. I'm just tracking that because you may have a different opinion, and please let me know if you do. No judgment. But I do not think you should wear brown with navy, especially when there's like 4 other colors happening. She's wearing a navy one with like a blue and gray, like blue,
I didn't notice
purple.
the brown.
Yeah.
It wasn't as distracting to me, but I did notice that it was a busy pattern, which, side note,
Yeah.
Maddie, I'm actually really glad that you brought this up because I actually had a note that I used to wear that type of shirt all of the time in high school, like the V-neck with a camisole underneath, so there's not too much cleavage, but it's like longer than the top of, like the bottom of the shirt is longer than the top of your pants, so it's almost like a dress type situation, but it's not really. It's just like a longer shirt. I used to wear those all of the time. And I really would. I think that's just like maybe an early 2000s or something fashion moment that happened because I saw her shirt and I had flashbacks because I was like, oh my God, I used to have those all of the time. And it was like a little line underneath like the boob area so that it separated like your boobs from like the rest of the shirt. So it kind of was like a little mini dress almost, but it was a shirt. So I totally remember that. But I don't know that I really saw or noticed the brown.
Yeah. Oh, I have nothing wrong with the style. I totally get the style. I don't get the brown with the navy.
She don't give a shit anymore. She's got the bow. She's got brown with navy. She don't know what she's doing yet.
Yeah, but I don't mind her episode, and I don't mind her outfit the next day with like the peach shirt and the gray suit. I'm okay with that one. This just bothers me, and I was like, she has not gone shopping with Anne yet. It hasn't happened. Don't know. But that was one of my points, and the other one is we get that glimpse of April calling her sister to come pick her up. And this is right before Leslie walks in. And I just absolutely love the fact that she's already drawing on her pants when she says, like, I'm just like, that's so April, and probably something I might have done when I was younger. Like,
yeah.
So I appreciated that.
Yeah, when she's like, come pick me up or I'm going to draw all over your jeans as she's drawing on her jeans. Yeah, that was really funny. I like that.
Yeah. What do you have to say about her bringing the wine and cheese out?
Okay, so I really appreciate. Okay, so they run out of beer. My main thing was that I just loved her performance because you really see her think about all of this without any words. Like she has a glance of like looking at after she looks in the refrigerator to see if there's anything left because they're all wanting to leave since they're out of beer, and she's like, no, but we can keep this party going. And Mark's like, yeah, that's when the party usually starts, when you run out of booze.
Right.
And first of all, like, fuck you, Mark, like, sarcastic joke. Okay, only Anne is allowed to do that. Secondly, no, just kidding. But secondly, I loved her look to camera as she comes out to the courtyard with the wine and cheese. She has this like glance of like, you didn't, like, I know this is wrong, but you, like, don't look at me. Just whatever.
Also, why did she not just bring the whole basket out? Why did she bring wines and cheese? Like, I was like, you could have solved your April problem right there if you had just brought the whole basket out.
Maybe that's true. Maybe she thought that she was only doing a little, like taking a little bit of it, not taking the whole thing. Or maybe also like to take the whole basket out would to be like, I don't know, too psychologically proving of, you know, I have this whole basket that was a gift where, and like maybe people would ask about it being like, what is that basket? Whereas if she just had wine, it was like, oh, they think that she just has some bottles of wine and some cheese. Like, it didn't come from anything, from a basket. She just had it with her already, you know?
That's a really good call. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. Thank you. That's helpful. Because I was like, you're a logical person. Why didn't you just take the whole basket? And that's smart. Yeah, that makes sense.
She was trying to hide it.
Yeah.
She was like, no, I didn't. This is not a gift that someone gave
not what it looks
to
like.
me. I just have this.
Right.
But she feels so bad about it. It's awful.
I know. I feel so bad for her too, because she
But
does.
you really
She just
see her
wants to be one of the
grappling
boys
with her decision, which I just like. That's really why I loved that scene. And it was in such a short amount of time, but she just was so distraught with what she did.
Yeah. Yeah, you see it. She
and
does
what
have
she's about
remorse.
to do.
Right. She has a remorse for it. You know, she's a good she's a good person deep down. She wouldn't normally do this, but this is important to her, right? Breaking the glass ceiling is important to her. She wants to be included. She wants to kind of break that barrier. So I think, you know, she outweighed the risks and the benefits, you know.
And she really loves Mark, so she wants to hang out with him as long as possible, probably.
Right. So true.
Like, not only the boys club is more, I think, why she wants to, but you know, her love of Mark probably has a little tiny bit to do with it as well. Like, no, I don't want to leave hanging out with you. You think I'm cool now.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. The thing that I thought, I don't know why, but I thought she already knew about April when she started making the apology videos. But she doesn't. This first apology video is just her legitimately really upset that she took anything out of the basket.
Yeah.
That she starts apologizing to all these people. And I love the comedic editing of this, right? Is that she starts listing everyone, and like Michelle Bachman, and then there was one other person, and then Melissa Bean, but she doesn't say where her position, right? So she says...
Right, she doesn't finish it because she would have gone on forever and ever and ever, yeah.
Right. So they cut her off before she even says the person's position. And she's been saying like Democrat, Maryland or whatever for every person. And so I had to look up. I was like, well, I have to know now. She says her name. So Melissa Bean up until 2015 was 2011. It was 2011, I think. Up until 2011, Melissa Bean was the representative for Illinois.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I had to know because I was like, you're saying it for everybody else, and then you say this person's name, and I understand the comedic timing of it, but let's find out.
I need to know.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I love that. I love also that each apology seemed different. Like the first one, like to each individual person she was talking to. And I love that she was apologizing. Wasn't she apologizing only to women?
Women. To all women in government.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I loved that. This one in the commentary, they said that this was one of the only, well, very rare times. I don't think it's the only time, but very, very rarely do they do this where they put the camera on a tripod for this apology video. And just so it could be a straight on shot. Definitely reminds me of Michael Scott's apology videos.
Yes. We're getting some more comparison here.
Yeah. And, I mean, speaking of that, like while I was watching this, and I think I read some interviews like when Parks and Rec was in its first couple seasons but as I was watching this, I definitely had that idea of like, it must have been so intimidating to come next after The Office, because I think people, you know, probably expected her to be Michael Scott or like to be the female version of Michael Scott. And so it was like, there must have been a lot of pressure. Like, you know, it really reminded me of like if you have a bigger brother or sibling, sister or whatever that was like infamous in high school, and then you come along and like you have to live up to that expectation that they set, that all your teachers are thinking about, you know, your sibling while you're just trying to do your own thing. But I do remember hearing that in some interviews that she was like kind of nervous because she wanted to uphold the reputation and give life to, but like make it new at the same time. But yeah, they said that she went for, getting back to this talking head, they said that she went for really, really long naming people. But then they cut it, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I think if she was going to do every woman in government, it might have taken a whole episode, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what I have before we go to Anne's house, is that talking head. But
yeah, I'm ready for Anne. I do have a commentary in this moment, but you tell me what you got.
Oh, yeah. The big thing I had was, you know, we're just getting more of this relationship dynamic between Anne and Andy, right? So she's leaving for a double shift. So she's going to be gone for 24 hours, working for 24 hours. And she says, can you just clean up a little bit? Like, that is the simplest ask, right? And I mean, I know we see that Andy actually does clean up, but he's like, don't expect much, right? And she immediately comes back with, it's fine, I'll do it when I get home. And
yeah,
I
already think that she doesn't have any expectations of him.
She sure does not. I don't think she has any. And there's part of me that's like, I think she likes him and she's comfortable in the relationship to not realize that, like, no, he should not be saying don't expect much. I know he's in 2 casts, but you can throw the pizza box and beer bottle away on the kitchen table. Like, you could have done that when you ate it.
Yeah.
Like, it does not need to be sitting there, you know? So,
Do you
like,
think he
yeah,
said
I
that
don't know.
because he was trying to surprise her?
I don't know. Okay, so this is another thing I have.
I mean, I
but
think
it's
that he would have said that regardless. I think that's definitely, why it worked, even if he was trying to surprise her, because that's definitely what he would say anyway. But I wonder if in this instance he's
Right.
just saying it so that he can surprise her into cleaning, or if he chose that or if he said, I'm going to clean, and he made that decision after she already left. I don't know.
Now, you bring up a very good point, because I always thought she goes, I'll do it, and then he feels bad. And so he makes the decision after she walks out. But you may be the answer to what I found in this, which is he brings out and he says, I made a list of things to do, but it's already printed out. It's a typed up piece
didn't
of
even
paper
notice
that
that.
says to-do list on the top. Yeah, it's a typed up piece of paper. It's been folded and kept in his pocket. It was printed not that
Right.
day, or at least 30 minutes ago, and he sat on it and
Yeah.
it's crinkled, right? So you bring up maybe the answer to my question, which is he may have decided like 2 days ago that he's going to do it. Although, does Andy have the initiative to type up a to-do list is my
Well, I was
question.
wondering, like, where the fuck is a printer, and why are you printing this to-do list when you could just write it
Right.
down? Especially if, like...
Right, exactly.
Especially if you're in two cats.
Yeah.
I
Right,
don't know.
exactly.
Maybe that's where the comedy
so I don't
comes
know.
from.
But right. But it's like, it's very subtle.
Or maybe that was...
like you don't
I
really
wondered
notice.
Maybe... Oh, God. We're getting way too detailed right now. Because I was going to say, I wondered if maybe Anne wrote that to-do list for herself to do, and he found it or something.
Oh. It could be. That could be it too. Because I find it very hard to see Andy typing up a to-do list. And,
Unless the to-do list says clean himself. Okay, that would be the telltale sign. Because if he says in the to-do list that he has to shower, then he wrote it. But if it doesn't, then Anne wrote it.
Right. And I did freeze it, and it was very hard to get a very clear... He moves it around a little too much.
I definitely took it as him wanting to surprise her, being like sneaky, saying like, don't expect much, nothing's going to happen. So, but I don't know.
Interesting. What is your commentary?
Okay, so number one is, so right before we get to Anne's house, they have a shot of the dog in the pit chewing a diaper. Like, first of all, it was so gross.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Secondly, I feel like anytime that they want to show a dog, they try to show this like mangy kind of looking dog. I feel like they use this same dog in the one where April's trying to do a dog park, and the point is that this dog chewing the diaper was also Greg Daniels' idea.
Oh my gosh.
He
What's
just had a
wrong with
bunch
this
of
guy?
random ass ideas, and he said
It's always dog related too.
apparently it took like 6 weeks to find that dog. That's what Alan Yang said. I don't know if that was like true or if it was a joke, but regardless, it probably took them a little bit of time to find this dog. And then the second commentary was that sometimes, they asked if Chris Pratt was playing video games for real. Like, because when you go into Anne's house, he's playing the Wii, which was just, it's such a funny thing for him to be playing because it's the most physical of all video games, I feel. And he's just on the couch.
Yeah. He has a wheel, a steering wheel.
But anyway, so they said sometimes he's playing video games, but most of the time he was miming playing the video game, like it was already a shot of a video game being played. But at this time, maybe he changed, but Chris Pratt said he didn't really play a bunch of video games, so just FYI on video games from him. But yeah, I definitely, I went on a roller coaster of emotions for Anne too, just to get back to her, like, ideas of, not having any expectations and her being comfortable in the relationship. Like, at first I felt bad for Anne because I empathized with her. Like, I'm not good at asking people to help me clean up at all. Like, even, if we've lived together for a while. But then I was like, but you've been with Andy for like 2 years, and I feel like you would think that, maybe she could do it at that point in the relationship because they've been together for so long. So it's like,
Right.
But I think that she's built just such a habit of not expecting anything from him. Like we were talking about, how she literally has no expectations. Like her bar is so fucking low right now.
Seriously.
So it's almost like she's kind of like living alone and doing this on her own anyway. So she's just like, I'm used to doing it on my own anyway. I'll just do it, which I can really relate to. Because we talked about how I have trouble asking for help, but not only is it the shame part of it, it's more so, not more so, but it's also, I think, equally like I'm just so used to doing it on my own. I don't know that there's another way anyway, or I have to remind myself that there is. So she's kind of like used to being like a mom to him almost, that she's like, well, okay, whatever, I'll just do it like I always do, But,
yeah, I'll tell my boyfriend, like, will you help me do this, like unload the dishwasher or whatever, and he'll be like, no, and I'm like, it's a joke, but like the first couple times he did it, I was like, seriously, you can't like get up and help me? And he's like, I'm kidding, like, and finally I know it's a joke, like he's getting up in the next 30 seconds to do it or whatever, to help. But yeah, that just reminded me of that, because like imagine if your boyfriend wasn't kidding and he wouldn't get up. And I was like, that would piss me off.
Yeah. And I find that, I don't know, most of the time, I don't know, I find that like usually dudes will do it if you tell them to. Not all the time, but I just like have such a hard time with like telling you to do it. But a lot of times they don't know that they need to. This is not the Chris Pratt or / Andy problem, because Andy definitely knows he needs to, I feel. But maybe not.
Right.
Maybe in his head he's like, it's fine. I'm cool with these pizza boxes. Who cares? It's just like when you have a roommate that's like, well, if you mind it being dirty, then you should clean it. I shouldn't have to because I don't mind it. How selfish are you? Okay, that is not what this is about. I think that's also really funny, though, that like his idea of cleaning and like tidying things up is just like sweeping everything into a trash bag.
And then throwing said trash bag into the pit.
Right.
Which I'm fast forwarding a little bit. But we see Andy throw this trash into the pit and wave to a neighbor across the pit. Exactly. And I was like, aw, that's so sweet. Neighborly love. Oh, no, wait. They're throwing trash into a pit. Like,
yeah, they're just so accepting.
It just was
of
really
like,
interesting.
Oh, cool, we got a landfill in our backyard now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I thought that was really well written. It like felt homey and like that was what they were supposed to be doing. But it also felt wrong. All right, we have Leslie, who first of all, I love that Donna wants the basket. I know. She's gonna put potpourri in it. It's a lot of potpourri, but I love that she wants it.
Her face is so funny. Again, all of her facial expressions and her line of like, "Hey, I am not the one on trial here."
Right, exactly. I love that. But Leslie goes up to Ron and is like, we need to talk. And he immediately was like, can we put it in an email? And she's like, no.
Oh my God.
Like, just shuts it down.
Oh my God. 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 Thing about that line. That line of like, can you put it in an email was an improvisation. Yeah.
Yes.
Like if you go back and watch it and really see the timing of it, it's so beautifully done, because not only did Ron give such a good performance of that line and, being improvised, but Leslie, Amy Poehler, just picks it right up. She doesn't miss a beat. She's nope.
Oh, I straight up thought it was written because of how well it flows. Yeah.
And then in his office also, his computer is the Scrabble board, and it's the exact same Scrabble board that they had in the reporter. Like they said that. It wasn't just me thinking that. They were like, weird. That's like a little Easter egg. It's the same one from the previous episode.
Yeah, I had that noted too. Like I noticed the Scrabble, but I didn't notice if it was the same one as last episode. Good catch. Nice. I have to say, there's a line here when Leslie is in Ron's office.
Oh my God, I know what it's going to be, I think.
Okay. Do you want to say it?
No, I don't. You say it.
Okay. It kind of pisses me off because it's true.
Yeah.
She says, I am a woman and I have to hold myself to a higher standard.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know if men really know that, but we automatically just have to.
Well, yeah, we're just used to apologizing and being like sorry for existing. And whereas most of the time, again, this is not all men, but most men, it's like they think like, I'm not qualified, but I'll eventually be qualified, so I might as well just go for it. And we are like, oh my God, we're not even close to being qualified. How could I possibly apply for that, or do that one thing, or lead this meeting, because I can't do that. Like I'm sorry for being here.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm so awful at being a leader, or like just in general being a human person, taking up any space at all. And it's so real. So yeah, I definitely felt the same way you did, because there's a comedic part at the beginning where she, which I kind of had a favorite line, question mark. I love it. Like where he says, it's not that big of a deal. I literally wrote that too, Maddie, just for your amusement. I wrote, I love and
Of
hate
course
this
you did,
line.
because we're on the same. Yeah, we're on the same page with all this
So true.
crap.
But she says, maybe for you, you're a white Protestant man with a full mustache, but I am
Yes.
a woman, and I need to hold myself to a higher standard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
it's a deep line.
It is, and it's a big one with like, I think you know this, like, I can be emotional, and like you've heard me be emotional, but it's not my initial
Reaction.
yeah. And I mean, no, like, it's no blame of the boys I grew up with, because as you know, I grew up next to 3 boys. Like, it was some pretty founding years in Illinois, and then my brother, and so it was me. I was one of 5 of us, and I was the only girl, and I felt like, and they didn't do this on purpose, we were like 7, but I think I automatically was like, if I'm going to get along with them, if they're going to include me, if we're going to be able to play together, I can't cry. Like, shit's going to happen to me. I might get knocked over and fall. I can't cry. Like, I had this, like, you have to be strong and tough. And I'm glad, because I think it did help me in some regards of what I've gone through and how I handle things now. But there are some days where I'm like, I wish I would just let myself cry. I wish I could cry in this situation, because I think it would be really healthy. But I think that's another way where it happens, where like women don't feel like they can be as emotional as they are inclined to be, because we're going to be looked down on for it or not taken seriously.
Yeah, I mean,
think
because
that's
we're
another thing.
crucified for showing any emotion. But also on the flip side is that boys need to be taught that it's okay to cry, because boys
Right.
have to uphold such a pressure that a lot of I don't think that that's at the forefront of the conversation, because they do have a bit of privilege when it comes to that leadership and accepting jobs and things like that. But on the side of, for the boys, it's like they have such a pressure that they cannot be sad or weak, and there's such a societal view of tears being weak, and that's just, we need to flip that on its face, because showing emotion is really the most strong thing you can do, and also using it for the better, because I think a lot of times what men see is that we're using our emotions to like, because we're on our period, we make decisions that are wrong, or
Right.
based not on logic, and that's just not true. Even
Right.
scientifically speaking, I feel. So so I think that is definitely something that a lot of men don't understand, or are unlearning as they get older, that like, oh, I can cry and I can feel something, and it's not the end of the world,
Right.
or it's not going
Yeah.
to be detrimental to my growth or success.
Right.
I also noted that Ron is wearing a suit, and I'm not into it, because I'm tracking this. Like, he hasn't gotten to his like nonchalant outfit, I feel, yet. Or not nonchalant, but just not
Right.
wearing a suit jacket. Also, his Bobby Knight poster is still up.
Okay, here we go. Still episode 4, season 1. We still got the poster. All right.
Oh, okay. Okay, so there's a deleted scene where Tom puts the gift basket into a display case in the hallway of City Hall. Like where they have stuffed raccoons or foxes or whatever.
Right.
And he takes out the raccoon and he puts the gift basket in the display case with the sign that reads, "Leslie Knope, ethics violation, for shame." So it's like on a display as a prank. And I was like, oh, that just must be because, he wants everyone to see her. But, like, to see her problem that she had, and like wants to embarrass her, kind of thing.
Right.
But I asked when I was talking to Brooklyn about this, my sister who works in the government, she said that sometimes they'll put things. She just said this randomly. I didn't even tell her this deleted scene, but she said when
crazy.
we were talking, I know, when we were talking about the $25 gift limit, she said sometimes they'll put the gifts in like a trophy case or a display case or something, so that it's not quite an accepting of the gift. It's more of like, if people come in, you can see it, kind of thing. So like no one accepted it. It's just there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I wonder if that's where that scene comes from.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very intrigued.
Interesting.
I'm sure on Tom's end it was more of a prank thing, like he just wanted to embarrass her. But I wonder if that was rooted in some kind of truth for the government. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if the producers knew or Yang knew. Alan Yang.
So when they're in Ron's office, when she's talking about holding herself to a higher standard, I really love Ron's look to camera when he says cover up, because she said something about like, we can't cover this up. And he goes, I didn't say anything about covering up, and he like glances at the camera to make sure that the camera didn't see him. I also love that pan down. Some people don't like this, but I actually personally liked it when the camera goes down to catch her hands trailing along Ron's desk, like she's really nervous. So they caught that. I really liked that kind of documentary scene. This is what I was going to ask you. Okay, but you might have answered it at the beginning when we were talking about why didn't she just take the whole basket? Because on Ron's desk, there's a couple bottles in there. And I was like, wait, so did they put the empty wine bottles back in the wine basket? Or like were there still some full bottles left in there? Because I thought there was only like 3 bottles. And I don't know how many she took out to drink with the boys club.
I thought she at least takes 1. It might be 2. And then we know that April gets 1. So those could be empty ones.
Interesting.
But I didn't count how many were in the gift bag.
Yeah. That's going to be on my recap. Yeah. Because I was like, why did they put those bottles back in the gift basket? Like, were you just trying to show that as proof or something? Like,
right.
But anyways, so that was a catch. And then now I'm at where she's emailing everybody. Is that where you are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So she emailed the entire government, and she said I had to whistleblow on myself. Right, because, which is great.
I tried to ask
she
Ron
has to whistleblow herself. Right.
But he refused.
But he won't. Yeah. So she's like, I'm going to tell him myself. But that's the only, I had that line. I thought that was really a good line.
I know. I can't believe she emailed everybody in the Parks Department, though. Like, it was so excessive and dramatic. Also, that email.
Right.
Okay, this is the part where I paused on something that was on the screen in the document. And first of all, that email, the body of the email is in all caps. I don't know if you caught that. The whole message is in all caps, number 1. And number 2, I looked at some of it was blocked because this is not a thing as far as I can tell. Like, when you on the screen, when she clicks send, there comes up a little tiny or a box screen that says sending, and that's like not a thing in Microsoft Outlook, which is what I use for work and what a lot of government people use. Like, when you click send, it just sends. It doesn't have a loading screen that comes up. But that loading screen blocked a lot of who she emailed. But I did see some. So she emails. Are you ready? Okay. She emails mayor@pawneeindiana.com, Ron Swanson at pawneeindiana.com, registered voter database. So everybody's email that's in that group of the registered voters. April Ludgate at pawneeindiana.com, which, interesting that an intern has her own email address, but maybe they did that.
I had my own when I was, well, I guess I was like an official like therapy intern though.
Okay, great. No, I think it's great.
I had my own.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then, because I think that, like, if an intern is actually doing things and learning stuff, you probably should have your own email address.
Right.
And
if
then
you want her to email people for you and stuff.
Right.
That would make sense.
And then she CCs Marlene Griggsnope, which is her mom. I don't know why she's in the CC and not in the regular recipients, but anyway, and I thought that there were lots of voting subtlety in this episode, because this is obviously, it's the government and it's the city hall, so I'm sure that wasn't really planned, or maybe it was, I don't know. But we talk about how she sends an email to the registered voter database, but then there's also when she gets to, I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but I just wanted to say this one little point, is that when she goes to the trial, and she's like her and Ron are in the waiting room, there's a little pamphlet that says register to vote, to tell people how to vote.
Yeah, this was not even a voting year.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Right. Anyway, that's all my notes for that moment.
Nice. Love it. I think April should have been fired. If I was the
hated her
boss,
in this moment. I
did too.
Was so upset with her, and I felt like really weird that I felt this way, but because I was like, I know she's young and dumb, and they're portraying her just having fun, being a kid, but I was like, how dare you? Why would you do that? And I mean, I definitely, okay, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, because I definitely am not. I definitely drank in high school. I did, and I stand by it. It taught me a lot of shit. But I never I don't remember. Oh God, someone's gonna drag me and find me on Facebook, but I don't think that I ever posted about it. And if we did, like, it was not on government property, or like if we were outside drinking.
No.
Okay, so there's something that kind of was cut out that she says when Tom is talking over her. She's saying, like, I'm seeing which one will get me drunker faster, drinking wine or not drinking wine, and drinking wine is winning right now.
It's winning.
That's a funny line. But yeah, I was not having it when I was watching this scene.
Well, and she was so smug about it too. She was so proud of herself. You could see it in her face. And you're like, but you don't, I mean, I feel like you should be realizing that Leslie's going to pay for this. And she just was so proud of herself. And I was like, you should really just be fired.
Yeah, especially underage. Like, it'd be one thing if you're legal. I mean, it'd
Right.
still be awful, but
it's an extra awful because she's underage.
yeah, she definitely was super smug and like happy. Like, you could see the little smirk in her eye. I think she played that really well. They gave Aubrey Plaza, the actor who plays April, a little digital camera when she was in the conference room, and she did all of her own like camera work. So her spinning around in the chair with the wine bottle is just her putting a camera in front of her face and spinning around.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I thought was really funny. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Improv moment, or not really improv, but character moment.
Right. Yeah. No, I liked that. That was well played. Well, we get called into Ron's office here because Leslie is in trouble because she's a minor and April's been caught with the alcohol. And Leslie's breakdown, I feel like, is 100% what's going on in my head when I start getting overwhelmed. Like, like crumbling up, like, what's happening? Why can't I
don't want to talk
things?
about it anymore.
I know. And she just breaks down, like, all on his bench. And, like, watching Ron try to comfort her is hilarious. I thought he played that so well. Like, just, like, not sure if I should touch you, but, like, it's going to be okay. Like, but, yeah, I just thought it was so well played. And I related so much with what Leslie was doing. I was like, that was me in my head all week last week and a little bit this weekend.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Speaking of Ron, so they trying to comfort her. The stage direction in the script said Ron starts to pet her like a snake. Doesn't that make so much sense?
That's an amazing stage direction.
Right.
That's great.
And I love this line that he does. I don't know if it was improvised or whatever, but he said, hang in. Wait, he's like, hang in. Instead of hang in there, because he's just like, he's so detached. He doesn't know what to say. He can't even finish hang in there.
That's
that
great.
was really funny.
Oh my gosh.
Something I thought was really worth mentioning is this camera technique where if you back up a little tiny bit, when they're watching video of April, they have the camera zooms in on Leslie's face, and then the next scene is her same face, but she's in a different room, and they zoom out to show that she's in a different room, but you think that she's in the same room. And that's really all the director, like Mike McCullers that we were talking about earlier that did Goldmember and all that stuff.
Right.
He really, that was his technique, which is what a lot of directors do. But I thought that was a really cool moment. I love that technique. That's happened a couple times in different movies. I'm sure you'll start to notice it now that we talk about it. Did I explain that okay?
Yeah, no, that was right.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally knew what you're talking about. I also wrote that down because I thought it was a cool cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's also this deleted scene too where Leslie and April are outside. They're having like a cute little moment where they're having a heart-to-heart outside, like on the steps of City Hall. And Leslie's like, why did you do that? Like, this is serious and you could lose your internship. And then April's like fucking with her even more, which is like made me kind of hate her even more, but it definitely showed who April becomes later on.
Right.
Kind of similar to Anne that we saw, where you're really starting to see their characters like put a stake in the ground, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because April's fucking with her, saying like, I did it because I wanted to be like you, like making Leslie feel terrible. And Leslie takes her so super seriously, as she would, and she takes a deep breath and she's like, I was afraid of that. It may seem super cool to drink when powerful women do it, but it's not. I hate to think I was the one that introduced you to alcohol.
Oh my gosh. I know. She thinks she's so innocent.
I know. But then April has this other talking head that says, after Leslie says, like, I'd hate to be the one to introduce you to alcohol, April has a talking head that says, I've had a fake ID since I was 14 in 3 different states, Indiana, North Dakota, and Delaware. And I thought those were the most random states to have
Seriously,
it.
though.
But it was a really cute moment. It really shows how Leslie really wants to be April's mentor. So I think that
Right.
is a really cool like dynamic to just keep in mind throughout the show that you already knew, but to see that even further is really interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
I meant to tell you, sorry, I was just reading my notes. Going back to when the stage direction said Ron pets her like a snake, apparently they did a bunch of takes, and there was one where he sings to her, but he's like really uncomfortable, so he sings things wrong. Like he'll say like, button up your smile, and
Oh my
instead of
gosh.
like turn your frown upside down or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, maybe we could find it on YouTube or something.
I know.
Well, we have her start the third video where she's just crying. She's like, she doesn't want to talk about it anymore. And Tom comes in and he's going to help her get ready for the interview. But like, is he though? Because no, he's not. Because he's kind of a dick about it. And he's back to wearing a polo in this scene. He's like asking her all these questions, right? Like, well, how many drinks do you have a week? And she
0 to
goes
6.
0 to 6. And he goes, I'm going to write 10. And she goes, yeah. Which I just loved. I thought that was so well played. And we have, he asks, like, now when you have sexual dreams about Ron, is he full human or is he like half Ron, half centaur? Which I was like, that's kind of foreshadowing because there is a little
painting.
centaur moment in
So funny.
season 3. So yeah, good moment, good times. Yeah, I didn't like that he did that.
I know. And especially the way that he ends it. He's like, yeah, so those are just your basic worst case scenario questions. This line, though, of when, how many sexual partners have you had in the last year? 0 to 6. And then
And
he
he
writes
says-
0. I'm pretty positive that's my favorite line. I know there are some really good lines, but I'm pretty positive that's my favorite line. 'Cause
That's so good.
it's so hilarious. There is a commentary moment. The part about the sexual partners and like fantasizing about Ron, and he says, are you making love to him on a couch shaped like his mustache?
Oh my
that was
gosh.
an improvisation.
Oh,
Tom made that up in the
nice.
moment,
Good job, Aziz. That was good.
which is that's so specific and perfect. I
Right.
don't know how he did that.
Yeah, it was well done.
And there was also this other deleted scene, or not deleted scene, but deleted line that was cut that had Tom asking if you could change the race of any one person in the office, what would it be? And like just the most controversy of all
Right.
controversies, to prepare her for this worst case scenario. And at first she's improvising back saying like, no, everyone's beautiful. Like you don't need to be anything different. And then she says, I would make myself Puerto Rican. Like after she like realizes, okay, I'll be truthful, and then she did an accent to like play the Puerto Rican version of herself. It's I really wanted to see that too, but
Oh my gosh.
it's just hilarious, all these different improvisations that they have.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it'd be crazy to be on that set and be part of that. Like, so cool. When we go to this committee meeting, we get a really good view of like, okay, the parks department is kind of a shithole because that room is really nice. It's got bigger windows. It's brighter in there. The table is shiny and big. Like it's it's a nice situation in that room. So I thought they did a nice job of creating like a completely different space. Like, okay, she is going to the higher ups. It's a nicer place. I also thought that was like the noisiest glass of water you could ever drink. The gulp.
Yes, it was a huge bit of drinking water, and I loved that. I thought that showed who she
Yeah.
is as an actor as well. Like, all she's doing is drinking water, and she just makes this huge bit about it. This was shot in Pasadena City Hall. Like, the actual
Oh.
inside was in the City Hall.
That's great. I love that. Well,
Also, did you notice her huge-ass purse?
no,
Like,
I did
she
not.
has a massive black purse with 2 big pockets. I took a picture of it, so I'll send it to you. But it is huge. It's almost the size of her. It's almost like a travel bag or something.
Dang. I wonder if they had to move
But,
buildings. Like, is the Parks and Rec in a different building than her disciplinary hearing? And maybe that's why she brought it and wanted to be prepared. Yeah.
I wouldn't think so, but maybe. I love this letter that she reads. It is hilarious.
Oh, it's like she's writing a book to explain
Yeah.
her life story.
Like, just her commitment is so great. And so her line of, I opened a gift basket of wine and cheese. And she looks up and stares at them with the most serious, heartbroken, apologetic face.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful. I love when she bangs the table, too, when they say something about how April, like,
Do not
drank,
blame her.
and she's like, do not blame her for my, oh my God. And she thinks
So
April's
emotional.
like passionate about local government. And
Right.
I love also, did you look at Nick Offerman in the back, Ron, as she's reading the letter? Because his reactions are so perfect. He's just like, his eyebrows are all furrowed, and he's just so
He does
over
not want to
it.
be there.
Right.
Yeah, no. He does. If he could have not come to this meeting, he would have not come into that meeting. So
I do
yeah,
love
you can
this line of,
see
I
that.
hope one day she lives in a world where the very idea of boys' clubs no longer exists.
Oh, I love that line. I love that line so much. Yeah, it's great. Oh, I was surprised that her letter wasn't longer.
I know.
Like it's on one sheet of paper. Like I was surprised it wasn't like a clump of paper she brought in.
I know, that's true.
But I love Ron here too, because a lot of it comes up off as his like libertarian side, right? Like, I don't want government to be a part of this. Like, we're not living in communist China. We're not, like we shouldn't be doing this stuff, right? But he does say, like, listen, she doesn't do anything wrong ever, and it's kind of annoying. And if you're going to do anything else to her, like, you're going to have to go through me. And I thought, I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like we were talking about with both Anne and April, this was really the episode, I feel, where you see their characters start to really take hold. And you do see Ron's evolution is happening just a tiny bit, because you see that he's on her side, but also, like, we see for the first time that he sticks up for Leslie, and he cares just a tiny bit for the better of, his employees. And even though he won't admit it, it's really cute.
It is.
When Leslie goes to his office to like thank him or whatever, he has a look to camera that was like, he has a little smile because she says thank you or something, and he looks at the camera and realizes that the camera caught him and like looks back and it's like, oh.
Yeah, I love that. That's what I was going to
so
say.
Precious.
Yeah.
Also, do you watch Game of Thrones? I can't remember.
Yeah, but we haven't seen the last season.
Okay, well, I was
My boyfriend's
gonna say,
afraid of things ending.
Yeah, it happens. There's this talking head after I think it's after the conference room moment, the trial, where he's describing like what being a leader should be. And like the last part of it was like, you can have women brought to the leader can have women brought to him if he desires them or whatever.
Yes.
Which, side note, was kind of like weird, but I really thought of Khal Drogo when
Yeah,
in Game of Thrones. Like, I think he would thrive in Game of Thrones times.
Yeah, Ron would. Yeah, he would. The other thing that I liked in the meeting was when he says, that the boys' club is when these guys get together and drink, and they're like, you're not supposed to be drinking on any government property. And he's like, it's not my department. Like,
Right.
I'm not here to talk about that. Get this over with.
Right.
If you don't have anything, I have the next part is the kiddie pool bath,
Yes.
which is just magic, right? He is learning from how his parents wash their dog. He's going to bathe himself in the kiddie pool, and he has like trash bags on his casts, and he's listening to himself, his own band, while he's bathing, which is interesting because, like, you and I have listened to our own music, but like,
But
I've
never for
done
pleasure.
it. Right. Yeah. Never for pleasure, and never while I'm in the shower.
Or like, I don't add my stuff to my own Spotify so that I can just randomly hear my own song, Like,
Right.
the only reason I'll add my stuff to like a playlist is so that I can get more plays.
Right.
But side
Accurate.
note, Chris Pratt actually wrote the song that is playing.
That's great.
Yes, in the commentary, they gave him a guitar and they told him to just go. Well, I don't know if they gave him a guitar. Maybe I'm making that up. But they told him to just go off and write a love song for Anne. And there's a line in there. You can't really hear it, but they talk about it and they say, I look to the north. I look to the west. I look everywhere for Anne.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And it's just like, so you couldn't look to the east and the south. You're just
Right.
looking in two directions.
Oh, I love that.
But
Perfect.
yes, that was something that they said was in the first idea of this story, of this episode, writing it, was getting him into the baby pool. That was like their goal. And apparently they had a lot of difficulty in getting the bubbles to stay because bubbles go away very,
Right.
very quickly. So that was something that they were trying to keep adding in, which I'm just imagining them like, get the bubble bath, throw it in there. Come on.
Yeah.
Bunch of grown-ass men.
More bubbles.
So funny.
So good. So I have my favorite line.
Oh my God, into it.
So
Let's hear
his
it.
neighbor comes over, Lawrence. He barges in, first of all. Like, why?
Right.
Like, knock or something. Like, you don't just barge into someone. Like, I've been a neighbor before. You don't just barge into
Right.
someone's
He now has
space.
that experience with Andy, though. I feel like he just doesn't give a shit.
That's fair. Yeah.
But still,
Yeah.
no, that's not right.
Yeah. I was like, that's kind of weird. And he's like, you need to turn that down. And Andy's like, no, that's my band. He's like taking pride in it. And he's like, fine, then I'm taking it. And he starts walking away. And Andy screams, I just put 12 new batteries in that thing. Which is my favorite line because, as you know, cash is tight. And I take pride in just the smallest little things. So, like, I'll clean something and then I'll be like, it'll get dirty within like 2 minutes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just used Clorox. And Clorox is not that cheap. I just used Clorox to clean that. Like, I'll get kind of fresh, like, and that's probably not good. But, like, I could feel his, like, yeah, I would be pissed. Batteries are not cheap. Like,
Yeah, they're
So,
expensive. Especially
I like-
those big ones that he probably had to use, like
I know,
D or
seriously.
whatever fuck.
yeah, no, and I loved that. And the way he delivers it was just so perfect, too. So, and of course, the comedy of him running down the street, like,
Naked.
I know we shouldn't be trying to picture it, but I think they did that on purpose, right? You can't not picture what's happening if the blur isn't there. And he's just waddling with his crutches back and forth. Like, I don't know.
liked
I
his
just thought it was
line.
hilarious.
I liked his line when his neighbor comes out. It's like, what's going on out here? And he's like, go back inside, Hank.
Yeah.
So funny.
It is so good.
I
Oh
also
my gosh.
really like that we see Anne's patio. Like, I've never really been fully aware of the patio, or I don't think we've seen it before,
No.
and we don't really go back to it very often at all.
No.
It's decorated beautifully, by the way.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I don't remember it either. I think that's the only time I really see it. Something I wanted to point out is that Anne is done with her 24 hours of work, right? She's tired, but she stops by Leslie.
I know. I picked up on that, too. I definitely thought about that.
I loved that. And I was like, if we lived in the same city, I think we would do that.
I know. You know what? I was trying to think of places where I've been to someone's work. I don't do that for a lot of people, like go to their work
Right.
or whatever. And I just, I think that I would definitely do it for you, though, is what I'm trying to say. Like,
Yeah,
I feel
samesies.
like there are very, there are very few people that I would just go to hang out. And like,
Well,
it's
and-
not because we need to like see each other because we haven't seen each other for a long time. It's because we need to just like hang out.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's funny, too, because she goes to see Leslie before she goes home to see Andy. Mm-hmm. So it's
Telling.
like this, well, Leslie's going to come before Andy, almost.
Yeah,
like,
which, you
it's
know what? Hoes before bros.
Uteruses
Ovaries
before
before-
deuteruses.
Ovaries before broveries.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. I love
Apparently, when
it.
she goes to talk to Anne, they had this deleted scene of them talking for like 2 full minutes about like, oh my gosh, I wrote this. Okay, let me explain. So my head was in my hands because I was like, when she talks about Mark, how she did it for Mark or whatever,
Right.
stole the wine from Mark. I was like, why, Leslie? But they had this talking head, that was deleted apparently, where they were talking about like justifying why men treat them badly. Like Rashida Jones and Amy Poehler kind of just recreated these conversations that they've had with their girlfriends, kind of, giving reason to why boys are awful or why their relationships failed or whatever. And it would be like, he doesn't like treat me super kindly and, he doesn't really hang out with me that much, but that's just because he's scared. And how like relatable is that for women in this
Yeah.
world? Because it's so true. And even if that is true, because a lot of men are scared. They are. But at the same time, like, even if that's true, like, you don't have to wait for them to not be scared anymore. So
Right.
you can go ahead and get on with your life. Because if he's at point A and you're at point B, then, like, you can choose to wait, but you don't have to. Okay?
Right. That's not your only
Same.
option.
Right, exactly. And they had to cut it because it was like a 2-minute long conversation. But I thought that was really cute to think of them like talking about boys and relationships and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that. I also have to say, though, they're in the scene that's actually in the show when she's telling her that she has a thing for Mark, that they had a love affair one night 5 years ago. I feel like Anne's facial expression is just so like, what? It's all of us, right? It's like, what is going on? Oh
yes,
my
and
gosh.
that's a classic Anne look to camera, I feel. Where
Yeah.
she was like, almost like shaking her head, like a half shake is what I like to call it, which she'll do a lot when she looks to the camera. She's like, not quite shaking her head back and forth, but it's, she's so confused she can't even finish shaking her head. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
There is two things. Ron's talking head, where he was talking about, the leader, where I said he could be a Khal Drogo. That was actually written for a different episode, but it fit in this episode better, which I wonder which episode that was written for. I guess it could go with anything since he is a libertarian, but but it really went well with this. And then there's also a deleted scene after that talking head where Leslie's talking to Ron, and Ron's telling her if there's punishment and whatever, and she asks if April is going to be fired or if she's gone. And we learn that April's uncle is a big businessman that is actually friends with the city manager, and that's why they're actually letting her stay. And then Leslie whispers, kind of like looks at the camera and says, "Boys Club," because of the connections. So I thought I should tell you that because you were like, yo, she should be fired.
Yeah, that's good to know. I like it. The last thing I have is when we were back at Anne's house with Andy, and first of all, he's wearing sweats with a button-down shirt.
Right.
Which just like, I guess with your casts, that makes sense, but it just looks so funny. The line that I like here is he says somebody is getting gently laid tonight.
Gently laid. I wrote that down too.
Oh, man.
I love that. Gently laid.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but that's the only
Every time I see them. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's the last note I have.
Yeah, I just wrote that every time I see Andy and Anne together, I just like don't feel it. And I know that maybe it's psychological because I know that they don't end up together and like this is like a weird moment anyways, but it's just like not even romantic to me because there's some movies and TV shows or even in real life when I like know that they're not supposed to be together, but then there's these cute moments where you're like, oh, that could happen. Or that could be cute. But then even when I see them kiss, I'm like, I don't know if they're supposed to be together. Side note, they initially had him using palm olive to clean himself. But they cut that, which I thought was so funny.
That's funny. Oh my gosh.
And then the last note I have is that tagline at the end, or tag scene at the end when Mark comes in, gives Leslie a beer and says that every guy has 7 letters because now she has a letter in her file. Right. And it is kind of a good reminder. It's a weird, twisted reminder, though, that, like, you can't be so strict on yourself. And, there is a balance between following the rules and not following the rules. And it's tricky with this because it's government and she's such a rule follower anyway.
Right.
But, yeah, it kind of reminded me of, like, I don't know, almost like the ending of Grease where, like, just change yourself and you'll fit in.
Right.
But it is, I'm trying to take it positively and just saying, like, relax, and it's okay to not be a part of that club too.
Right.
But also, like, if you got one letter and your whole record is good, then you're probably all right.
Right.
But that's season 1, episode 4. So,
Yeah.
Maddie, we only have 2 more episodes left in this season. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. I can't believe how fast it went, but I'm going to be excited to get into season 2 and it'll be good.
Yeah.
But yay,
Yeah.
thank you guys for joining us for season 1, episode 4, Boys Club. And next week we will be doing The Banquet.
Yay! Excited for the banquet. Let us know if you have any questions or any of the details that we wrote about or talked about, rather. parkpalspodcast@gmail.com. You can follow Maddie and I separately as well on Instagram. And also follow us on Instagram because we will definitely
Post.
have some posts for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see you next week, guys. Thanks for joining us, and stay indoors if you can.
Stay safe.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Okay, so Maddie, tell me about your job. You have things going on with your job. Tell me about
I
it.
do. I have so many things going on in my brain, like different paths and everything.
I know.
Just because, as you know, most people probably don't know this, and I don't know if I want to keep this in, but I am currently applying for PhD programs.
Yay!
And it is so much more work than I thought it was going to be. I have to write a statement of purpose and then a personal statement, and I've been getting my letters of recommendation, and the applications are super long, and then there's a whole section where it's like, please insert all the research you've done, and I'm like, I've done none, because like I don't work at a research lab, unfortunately, like I would love to, but yeah, so I'm just sitting here like, I don't think I'm qualified for this. But if I get it, by the grace of God, I would do that next fall, and that kind of tells my path, right? But if I don't get it, I'm just going to keep going with my master's, and I need to kind of figure out a situation because I'm not staying at school, and I might even leave school earlier than I would originally planned. However, it sounds like we may be going back online full time. So as of yesterday, we had 2,800 cases in my county for 230,000 people. So that's 12%. We're at 12%. And that's one of the benchmarks we have to meet to close back down. So I think my school's talking about it, and they're talking about like what the plan is. I think, people are going to travel and they're going to have big parties. And I definitely live in a part of the country that does not really take COVID seriously. So I have a feeling there are going to be a lot of get-togethers and everything. So it's just going to boost the numbers higher. So if we go back online, Holly, I really think I could survive, because it's not as much work as it is when we're in person right now, teaching online and in person.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because you're doing double duty anyway right now with online and in person. So it's so much more work.
It is. It's so much more work, so much more planning. Just the hours I spend on school stuff is insane. But I did find out from a friend here who works at the Center for, I think it's called the Child and Family Services here in Prescott. And she said that they are hiring. And really what they do is they work with families with needs. And, a lot of times it's kids with disabilities, or, they're at risk or whatever. And she said that she is going to be in charge of starting resources and kind of a program for kids with autism here in January.
Which is what you love.
I know, I love autism so much. Like, I love studying it. I love working with kids that have been diagnosed with it. And it's like my passion are those individuals, that demographic. And she said, if you're working there, I could bring you on that team. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a dream. Like, that would be so cool. So I sent my resume in on Friday. I haven't heard anything yet, but I think I need to do like a follow-up to make sure my friend got my resume. But yeah, I'm hoping that something comes of it. And if not, that's fine. I can make something else work. But it just was exciting to hear that, just because that is what I like to do. It's hard though, because I'm getting a little bit of pushback from my mom, and it's out of love, but I have not seen her for over 11 months now, and it's insanity, and I hate it. And I don't think I've ever gone longer than 4 months without seeing my mom. So it's been really hard, and I've had a really hard last couple weeks with it.
Of course.
Because we found out that she probably isn't going to be able to come back for Christmas. So it's been a struggle. And she said that hopefully next summer, everything's going to be lifted. Like, we'll have a plan, we'll have vaccines, we'll have all this stuff. And hopefully we'll be able to travel and see each other and stuff. And she said, I would hate for you to give away having summers off. Like, when we could be able to actually see each other and travel to see each other and stuff. And I do sympathize, I empathize with that, and I understand, and I really would love to keep a job where I can have summers off. But, if I can find something that I feel like...
I wonder what the time off is with this other job, because maybe you could get at least 2 weeks off in a row, and that would be amazing,
Right. Well, and that's kind of what I, told my mom. I said, I don't really know enough about this other job to even make a decision, really. But I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the fact that there's so many paths I could take. yeah, a lot's going on right now. So I try not to think about the fact that I have to make any decisions, which I know is being such a bad adult. But at the same time, I'm just like, nope, I got to finish this. And then I can finish
Right.
this,
Oh my gosh, because
So,
that can get so overwhelming.
oh, yeah.
Would it be like an after school program situation, or is it like during the day, like a therapy situation where they go and have appointments?
It's full time, and it's the job she said was open is called like a clinical director. And so I would kind of be in charge of working with clients and then kind of deciding how can I get you the therapy that you need and the family support and stuff. So, and I don't know, I don't think we lived together when we did when I wrote this, but I wrote a paper in school about family therapy and how important.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just remembering that I definitely wrote papers, like a really important paper when we lived together, because I was sitting in that room right next to the front door, and you would always like poke your head in on your way in back to your room.
Aww.
And like I just remember working on this paper like for nights and nights in a row, but you always like coming in and like saying hi. And so it might have been that paper.
Oh my God. I know. I remember you sitting there.
So I wrote one on family therapy and how important it is for families to get help so that they're able to help their person.
Yeah.
So, and there's a job there too that looks like it's open that's like called a parent aid. And so your job is to work with the parents and the family members and kind of help them help their client. So,
Yes.
yeah, so there's just a lot that I think is possible, but it'll be a little bit till I know what's going on, I guess, but
Yeah, I've been reading a lot about that too. And like in my therapy search, there's been a lot of therapists that do that same thing, family therapy as well. Not only like if they're suffering from, like brain trauma or something like that, or something that is, like a disease, or you wouldn't consider autism a disease though. How do I become politically correct of that?
it is
a condition?
It's a disorder.
Disorder. Okay, that's the word.
Yeah.
Okay.
And technically we call it a neurodevelopmental disorder.
Okay. So yeah, that's something that I've been learning, or not learning about, but just like seeing too, that not only if you have a disorder, but also if you have like a kid that needs therapy regardless, maybe it's an emotional situation, that the family should also, or the parent should also have therapy too, to maybe it's apart, maybe it's separate, maybe it's both, but it really helps the development of both parties involved, because then you like know how to communicate with each other, because there are so many times when the parent thinks, or a friend even could think that they're saying the right thing, but like when someone is going through something, anything you say could not only set them off, but that's not what I mean to say, but like it could just come across in such a non helpful way, and
Right.
so they're not able to take in what you're saying and use it for the better. They're just going to take it as a hit almost.
Right. Yeah, it's really important, that stuff. Like at the clinic that I worked in down in Phoenix, we would literally take the last 10 minutes of every session to go talk to the family, not just about what we did, but like these are the things I'm seeing that you can do at home to support them and stuff like that. So it's really important for that communication.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. I hope that all works out. Well, I'll be praying and thinking about you.
Thank you. I love you so much.
Oh, I love you. I'm better from my spiral last week, so that's good, just to keep everyone updated. But I will say, finding a therapist has been really like hard.
Did you say you were going to go see one?
So I have a meeting with someone on Thursday virtually, which is really great. She like does everything that I want in a therapist, as far as like cognitive behavioral therapy. Finding a therapist that was covered under my insurance was either they didn't message back, or they didn't answer their phone, or whatever. And all the people that were not covered by insurance are super fast, because they are kind of running their own business. And I guess I don't really know why, truthfully, but I can't say. But and then they were like, but we can help submit an out-of-network claim if you want to do that. And then so I had to look and see what my out-of-network benefits were, and I was like, oh my God. So I did find someone. Hopefully this Thursday meeting goes well, but I have a couple of other people like as backups just in case, because
That's smart.
You never know. Even if she was like, easy to find, then I would have had to give it some time, because therapy is just, you maybe like them, you maybe don't. Who knows?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week for the banquet. Okay, have a good week. Bye.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.